Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Let's go. Check 1 2 1 2. We gonna get this right on the road, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let me make sure all my sounds is a go. Make sure everything good. Let's see what we got here. Make sure everybody can hear what's happening here. No sound, no sound, no sound. All right. Let's see. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. All right. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Let's see if we got some sound up in here. Check, 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 family. We're going to get started in a second. Check, check, check. Yeah. We good. Check, we good. Check. We good. Sound up in here. Check, 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 family. We're going to get started in a second. Check, check, check. Yeah. We good. We good. There we go. Yeah. We gonna get busy in a second, family. Give me 1 second. So let me open it up real quick. Let me open it up. So family, this is peace and love, family. This is the channel that everybody that claim to be Moorish American, they should tune into this channel, because this channel here is all about educating brothers and sisters on what's Moorish and what's not. Because of what's going on around the internet, I think it's imperative that we have a channel that's dedicated strictly to Moorish science, with all the misinformation. And as we build this platform, it's going to get better and better and better and better. But for right now, what we want to do is address some of the lies that many people know that I'm used to addressing. Because, like I say, in the day of the internet, you have so much mixed information out there, and all of this mixed information causes confusion. Period, point blank. The information causes confusion. And so I'm inviting a few brothers as well as sisters, whoever choose to come on in. Islam Brother Page L, whoever choose to come on in, and allowing any questions that they would like to be asked about the Moorish Science Temple of America. Reason being is because the Moorish Science Temple of America has been misrepresented in so many different ways. And it's only right that if I've done some research to paint a picture as to what the Moorish Science Temple of America looked like when the Prophet was in the driver's seat. You feel what I'm saying? When Prophet Noble Drew Ali was in the driver's seat, what does it look like? You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about what we see on the internet. What's up, NJ Connor? I ain't talking about what we see on the internet. I'm not talking about what all of this flapping and gum bumping going on about what we supposed to be doing. We need to unite. And I ain't talking about none of that gum bumping stuff. I'm talking about we, as the Moorish Science Temple of America, affectionately known and styled as the Noble Temples, pride ourselves on one thing in particular: looking at the model that Prophet Noble Drew Ali laid, stick to that model at all costs. Fulfill the model that Prophet Noble Drew Ali laid out. That's it. That's all. Anything other than that is uncivilized. This is not to knock anybody else that choose to interpret Moorish science in the way that they want to interpret. I'm only going to look at Moorish science from the spectacles of the founder and when it was successful. That's it. That's it. Anything else to me is uncivilized. I'm not tripping off people interpretations. I'm not tripping off people understanding. If it don't match up to Prophet Noble Drew Ali experience, I'm going to keep it moving like a grain of salt. I'm going to just keep it moving. It ain't that serious. That's just where I'm at with it. So with that being said, I got my brother Paige L in the building. Paige L, we had some questions, right? And man, this is a good time to show what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's organization look like. You follow me? This is a good time to show. Brother, did you have any questions that I may need to address before I get busy? Absolutely. Hold up. Oh, you got to unmute yourself.
Islam. Praise Allah. I give honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honors in conjunction with those previously given, but right now at this time, I don't have a specific question.
Okay, good. So we got our brother Asar Set the L. He's in the building, and we got our
Islam, boy.
Islam.
and we got our brother C. Scott L. He's in the building, and what we are going to do today is we're going to answer some questions that many people probably was interested in but couldn't get the answers to. You know, and so let me first and foremost rise and give praise to the great God of the universal law. I give honor to his prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I give honor to the forerunner of the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And I give honor to the first and the only supreme grand sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, appointed by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So with that being said, he's every Moorish American supreme grand sheik. That be no other than the honorable Brother Edward Miliel, as we've affectionately called him, E. Miliel, Grand Sheik and chairman, following right after the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and also the Supreme Grand Sheik of the Supreme Grand Council, Brother E. Miliel, the Supreme Grand Sheik for all Moorish Americans. With that being said, brother, let me get with Asar Set the L. Asar, now, Brother Scott L. forwarded me some questions, and I'm going to address them questions. But before I address them questions, brother, how about you? We're going to go into a history lesson tonight. You know, we're going to, like every Wednesday, we're going to be here and we're going to go into a history lesson that's practical to the solution that we need today. I'm not bringing out no back in the day stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to make the feds look fresh like our forefathers did. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what these other boys make the fans look like, but we're going to make it look fresh. You know what I mean? Like our ancient forefathers. So, brother, the floor is yours. Anything, brother, come with it. He done dropped off that fast. Oh, no, he got excited. But with that being said, Brother C. Scott L., how about you, brother? Come on, what you got for me?
Islam. I rise and give praise to the universal God Allah. I give the highest honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Supreme Grand Sheik E. Miliel, and the forerunner Marcus Mosiah Garvey. The questions that I got today, and how you doing anyway? How you doing, Grand Sheik?
I'm doing good, man. I listen, when I'm teaching Orthodox Islamism and Moorish science, I'm doing great. It's just when I got to do that other stuff, when I got to eat, I got to use the bathroom, I got to sleep, all that. That's the only time I got some issues. But when I'm in the cockpit, in the chamber, man, I'm good to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But come on, brother, what you got for me?
Yeah, my first question, what is the Moorish National League?
Now, where did you get the Moorish National League from? Read it to me. With that being
That's
said, why
Prophet.
now why you got that? Why you going there? Let me bring in my brother Saul Set the L. Read what you got on the Moorish National League. See, we are show and prove temple here. You see what I'm saying? We're show and prove. We ain't that type of group where we just say stuff and we can't show and prove. So you say it, I'm gonna prove it, or I'm gonna disqualify it.
All right.
With that being said, brother Saul Set the L, come on in, brother. What you got?
Islam, I rise, giving praise to Allah, giving honor to his noble prophet Drew Ali, giving honor to the illustrious Marcus Garvey, giving honor to the first anointed, appointed, and consecrated Supreme Grand Sheikh Edward Miliel, and honor to everything that was given beforehand. This is a new show to me, and it's kind of new to me, and I got kicked out one time. Earlier today, I was reading a couple old letters that I had, and I wondered if you could explain, because there was a court case that took place on May 7th, 1931, and it was confirmed May 12th, 1931, in a letter from an attorney named Wendell. This letter was confirming that Edward Miliel went into the courtroom as Supreme Grand Sheikh and he came out. Now, I was wondering, with all these, what I call bootleg, with all these bootleg organizations using the name Moorish Science Temple of America, I wonder why this case never comes up.
Well, this is what it is. Basically, to give people the backdrop, the conflict that people don't want nobody to look into happened in September of 1929. At the time, Brother C. Kirkman Bey was trying to assume the lead position in the Moorish Science Temple of America after the transitioning of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And so to give the people a little bit of backdrop, during the second annual convention, C. Kirkman Bey had convinced E. Miliel to allow him to assume a position during the convention of Supreme Grand Advisor. Now, if you're not familiar with the Moorish Science Temple of America or its politics, you're going to have to listen carefully.
Mm-hmm.
If you're familiar with it, then you'll grasp it. So during that time, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali set the organization up as not only a religious corporation and organization, and I gotta say this, because many people say, "Oh, that's just a religious organization." Not only did Prophet Noble Drew Ali set the organization up as a religious organization and corporation, he also set it up as a body politic. He also set it up as a government or a governing organization that would metamorphose into a government. So the organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America ultimately would metamorphose over time into a full functioning government. So that government that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali put together within the construct of the Moorish Science Temple of America, there was the grand body, and there was the executive body, and there was the judicial body. Now let me mix it back up. The grand body, the Grand Sheikh and Chairman, and the Supreme Grand Council. So you had the House of Representatives. You have the Central Authority, which would be the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, or in this day and time, his laws. And then you had the judicial, which would be the Supreme Grand Council. The Supreme Grand Council held the authority over what would and would not be accepted as Moorish. So if you had a position on the Supreme Grand Council, it would be like you having a position on the Supreme Court in the United States of America. You see? And so one of the things that people struggle to get in the United States of America is to get on the Supreme Court. Because just like when Obama appointed, see, we don't talk Moorish science from 20,000 years ago. We talk Moorish science for today. Just like when Obama appointed the Mexican lady, I forget her name, the Mexican lady on the Supreme Court, that's an appointment for life. And now she can affect change for Mexicans here in America, as well as those coming into America for life. So the Supreme Grand Council act in the same fashion. The Supreme Grand Council can affect change drastically. You know what I'm saying? For the direction of the movement. And so C. Kirkman Bey, during the convention, in a way of trying to get on that council, he got Emiliel to sign off on him of being a Supreme Grand Advisor. When anybody has Supreme on their name, that means that you automatically are assumed to be on the Supreme Grand Council. Now you are put in position of authority. It's the bait and switch. You know what I'm saying? So you have people right now, they'll go around and they'll call themselves a Grand Temple this and a Grand Temple that. That's a Masonic degree right there. When someone calls themselves a Grand Temple, what they're actually saying that they have power to make temples. You see what I'm saying? But that's a Masonic degree. A Grand Lodge can make other lodges. I just threw that out there. That's for somebody else. But anyway, the point that I'm making is this. So C. Kirkman Bey, he performed the burial ritual for Prophet Noble Drew Ali. C. Kirkman Bey, you see. C. Kirkman Bey was said to be Prophet Noble Drew Ali's interpreter when he traveled abroad. Now, he was there and he performed the ritual. C. Kirkman Bey had never been made a sheik according to any history that I discovered. He had never been made an officer according to any history that I discovered. No way, no how during the time of the prophet. But some kind of way, because he was able to perform the ritual, because obviously if he traveled with the prophet, he had to have some sort of affinity for Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And so Edward Emiliel allowed him to perform the burial ritual or the funeral ritual or, the ceremonial ritual. Whatever the case may be, because he performed that in state in front of everybody, Emiliel honored him with credentials at the second annual convention to be known as the title as an honorable title of Supreme Grand Advisor on his request. But now, once Emiliel honored him with that, let me give you a little bit of history behind that though. When Emiliel honored him with the title of Supreme Grand Advisor, it wasn't put into law. It was like they was there. He said, okay, I honor you with this title. But during that day, Emiliel reports that he never made anything official. He basically just said it. You feel what I'm saying? But he never made anything official.
Yeah.
That's what he says. That's what Emiliel says. So anyway, Kirkman Bey, he takes that word of mouth or however it was given to him, however he received it, give or take, that now he was an authority. With that authority, Temple number 9, they, half of them not even sheiks, not even members, not even officers, they saying that they elect him to be the leader of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Well, the Moorish Science Temple of America don't elect leaders like that. There's a whole system in place for leaders to come and play. Now, let me condense this and make a long story short. C. Kirkman Bey decided that he was the leader and that he was elected by some members in Temple number 9. That is not how leadership is put in position in the Moorish Science Temple of America. So at this time, they begin one of the first splits begin to happen and be real apparent. Not to mention that there was a split during the time of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but it became real apparent after that point when brother got that he got that idea that he was a Supreme Grand Advisor. Now, Emeliel pleads with him, brother, why are you splitting us up? He pleads with him. It's multiple letters where Emeliel is saying, listen, meet me at my house. Let's talk about this. Let's not do this. Let's stay together like it was when the Prophet was here. You know, let's get right. But the bait and switch had already been done. The plot has already thickened. It was already in plans during the time of the Prophet to remove the Prophet out of the way. So the same plan of the Prophet's choice was put in place to move him out of the way. Now, once Emeliel and Kirkman Bey ultimately didn't speak, by the next year, Emeliel put it into law that whatever he believed he was, he struck it down at the 3rd annual convention. At the 3rd annual convention, basically he's saying, whatever you believe to be true, I'm striking it down and we withdraw it. Whatever. We making it law. So it became law. You see? Now, once it became law, Kirkman Bey became an outlaw. This is the fact. People might get emotional about this, but he became an outlaw. In other words, he was outside of the law. And so he went and took a few temples with him, and they began to lay low. So now we're talking about 1930. They begin to lay low. And they laid low just enough time to 31 roll around, and Kirkman Bey gets a little bit confident in himself, and now he want to take Emeliel to court. Somebody done pumped him up. So he wants to take Emeliel to court and say, this is the Moorish Science Temple of America that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali had, but I am in charge now, and I'm taking you to court. So he takes Emeliel to court. Wrong move.
Yes.
Wrong move. When he takes Emeliel to court, he fails miserably. He loses the case. Remember, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered, incorporated organization. There are checks and balances. You just can't assume to be the head of a incorporation without the proper measures in place for you to become the head. And according to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, in order to become the head of the corporation, you have to be appointed, anointed, and consecrated and approved by those around you. You feel me? But you must be appointed, anointed, and consecrated within the system that is described in Heard's Revised Statute. You just can't jump up and one temple say, we like you, so now you in charge. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So he took him to court. But according to Heard's Revised Statute, according to the judge, Emeliel became the champ. He was determined legally the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America. At that point, C. Kirkman Bey and those who chose to move with him went underground. All right? But before he went underground, see, this is the part that people don't want to know, but it's the fact. Emeliel filed an injunction to return all of the property that belongs to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Kirkman Bey refused to return it. Again, Kirkman Bey, as I said, they went underground. Once Emeliel pass form transitions, they come above ground in the end of 1933 and 1934. And then they begin to claim that they're the Moorish Science Temple of America because Emeliel was out of the picture. So they throw together their first convention in 1934. And that's the reconstruction of what people thought it was the reconstruction of the Moorish Science Temple of America. But in fact, it was a re-engineering of the Moorish Science Temple of America. They assumed new titles, Grand Advisor, Supreme Grand Advisor, and Moderator, which is not a title in the Moorish Science Temple of America. The title in the Moorish Science Temple of America of the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America is very simple. It's very plain. It's Grand Sheik and Chairman. That's it. There is no Grand Sheik and Moderator in the Moorish Science Temple of America, with all due respect. It's just not. That is not a title for the divine movement. And the reason why I want to put this out there is not because I want to antagonize anybody, because I could care less. Follow what you want. You know what I'm saying? But the point that I'm making is that this is a holy and divine movement. In order to benefit from the holy and divine movement, we must do things in a particular way. And that particular way must be predicated upon the specification as Prophet Noble Drew Ali laid out, because there's a spirit in why he did what he did. You see what I'm saying? And the moment that you change it, the divine leaves it. You understand what I'm saying? The moment that you change it, the divine leaves it. You feel me? Y'all understand? So anything changes, there's no more divine. You may have some divine, but you can't change it. You ain't gonna have full divine. However that works. You might got part-time divine, but you ain't gonna have full the time. You know what I mean? So with that being said, you might have part-time divine, but you ain't gonna have full-time divine. So with that being said, once the reconstruction came, and I call it the re-engineering, you know what I mean? The re-engineering of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It was a hard fight. It was a hard fight for those who was faithful to Emeliel and faithful to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, faithful to Allah, and the structure that was laid down. The reason why is many people try to make up stories that can't be substantiated. That people went with Kirkman Bey because Emeliel was weak. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. What happened was this. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that those Moors that was with him did not know what he was doing. So if they did not know what he was doing, of course, they wouldn't understand the gravity of what was happening right before their eyes. They didn't understand this. They couldn't have understand the seriousness, because if they would have understand the seriousness of what took place, they would have stuck to the structure that Prophet Noble Drew Ali left them with. However, it was supposed to happen like that. And the reason why it was supposed to happen like that, because history records that when Jesus or even Muhammad was on the scene, when all prophets come and their prophecy closes, there is a dismantling of what they establish. And then the generation later comes along and rebuilds. You follow me? It's supposed to happen like that. So the thing is, when people are scared to look at history and say, why he's stuck in 29? Why? No. Because I understand how prophecy works. I understand that whenever a prophet comes, and just like Jesus, and it's torn apart. The generation that follows, or maybe even a few generations that follows, the prophet said the third and fourth generation, they are going to look back and they are going to rebuild from the specifications that Prophet Noble Drew Ali laid out. And we're going to get into that because it's relative to today. We are in our time today. And so to answer your question, Asar Setiel, back then it wasn't necessary to try to debunk or derail what was happening as it relates to the hijacking of the Moorish Science Temple of America. But in this day and time, this is the day and time where the faithful will rise up. This is the day and time where the conscious and the aware will take a stand. And this is our time right now for us to lay down the blueprint from the blueprint unapologetically and utilize it for our liberation as it was designed for in the first place. And it's relative to today. And it's relative to today. Everything that we face with today fits right into the scope of what Moorish Science was designed for. Everything. With that being said, brother Asar Setiel, anything else? He just stepped off. I see we got Page L. He got his notes. Page L, you all right?
Yeah. No, I do got a question.
Come on.
Since we're talking about my brother Millie Yee, right? And I still need that information, by the way.
I got.
But my question is this: how long did it take? Now I'm gonna ask. Oh, what happened?
You good?
Oh, hello. Oh, here.
And y'all gotta listen, man. I'm
long
on
did
the boards, bro. I'm on the boards, bro. I gotta let people know, man.
Okay.
Yeah, this is You Can't Run from the Truth Wednesday, Channel 7. I ask everybody to subscribe. You know, you can't run from the truth. Every Wednesday, we're going to be here at 7 o'clock, you know, and we're going to go for about an hour, hour and a half. You can't run from the truth Wednesday. It is what it is. Subscribe. Come on.
Love it. How long did it take for Brother Emil to be appointed Grand Sheik by the Prophet? Again, I'm going to ask this question again because I need people to really listen. How long did it take for the brother Edward Millie Eel to be appointed Grand Sheik by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali?
All right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up real quick because I want to show and prove. I can tell you what, it was under a year. You know what I mean? I can tell you that. Give me 1 second. I want to pull it up to be sure. Let me pull it up to be sure. But yeah, I'm thinking that it was, and I'm gonna read it off to you.
Okay.
See, and that's one thing about Milier. What he did was he here we go. I got the folder right here. And y'all gonna have to work with me, family, because as these questions are being asked, I'm actually pulling up the record. You follow what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna be a talking head. That ain't what I do. You know what I mean? Talking heads ain't gonna get us nowhere. We're gonna let the record reflect. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're gonna let the record reflect. You know what I mean? And this is why they see, let me tell you something. People that want to cover the truth, they say, why are you still talking about that? You know what I mean? But we're going to let the record reflect. That's why. You know what I mean? Because we want to know, if Prophet Noble Drew Ali said a mastermind can trace itself back and thus he know, why are we acting like we shouldn't be looking into what really happened? I don't really understand that. And every day new information is being revealed. So it only makes sense to look into it. Man, I don't see it. Where is that? I'm gonna find this letter in a second. But while I'm looking for the letter, I can multitask a little bit. Let me say this. Here it is, right here. I got it. Let me say this. Our brother Scott L, man, honor to the brother. He gives a good question when he talks about what happened to Lomax Bay. I think that's a great topic, and I'm gonna be building on that, man. In fact, I'm gonna have little books on everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have little pamphlets with the history on everybody. You know what I'm saying? So everybody will know where our forefathers went wrong and where they went right at. We need to know this. Our children need to know this. We need to put some of this stuff in children's stories, some of the good stories, because some of these stories are crazy. I'm trying to tell you, they're crazy. But let me say this with you. Here is, and I want you to do the math because I think this is the letter right here. Here we go. Now, let me see if it comes up. It says, many were there when the decision was handed down. Now they claim the judge has never passed the decision. That was the judgment from Emeliel from the judge. There is no such cause for them to be like that, only that they don't want to be governed by the truth. This goes to our brother Asar question 2. Since the prophet passed, and that is the only, since the prophet passed, and that is the only hope for security. One great hindrance to my people is that they do not understand words of truth, peace, and love as set before them by the great prophet. He said so when he was here, and he told them if they understood language, they would be all right. Now, as a reminder, called me, ordained me, commissioned me, and appointed me to my station, and instructed me that I was to stay there at his absence. Stop there. So that is to verify that he was appointed by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That's number one. Now let me grab this other letter real quick. That's number one. Now the other letter, it talks about Emeliel when he came into the movement, and I'm gonna try to find that for you real quick. Give me 1 second. Don't go nowhere. Stand by.
The date on that last letter that you just showed me was 5/21/1931, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Now, hold up 1 second. I'm going to find a letter, so stand by. I'm going to come back to it. But let me open the floor to my brother, Scott L. Brother, are you there, brother?
Like you reload.
Okay. So I'm going to come back to that letter because I want to show the letter where he says, I came into the Moorish Science Temple of America on such and such a date. And I don't want to misquote it. You know what I'm saying? But I will tell you off the top, it was less than a year. You follow me? And let me tell you what happened. What happened was that, and we're going to talk about him in a minute. What happened was Lomax Bay had built up Temple number 1. I mean, they had stores, they had schools. I mean, they was doing it real big. They built up Chicago. Let me say that. They built up Chicago, you see. And so after building up Chicago to approximately 3,000 membership, Lomax Bay was commissioned to go to Detroit. And when he went to Detroit, he duplicated the success of Chicago with attracting over 4,000 members at that time. So the membership was even larger. And this is why it was so convenient for Master Farad Muhammad to go to Detroit and recruit, and remix the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and bring people into his leadership because it was so many of them. And I know this is a sidebar conversation, but Master Farad Muhammad was going door to door. And at this time, they had home temples because you couldn't fit 4,000 people in one place at one time. On one of the reports, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said they had to turn away thousands of people from the temple when he came to town. And so to demonstrate Act 1, they had home temples like Prophet Noble Drew Ali had home office. You follow me? And so what Farah Muhammad would do is he would go around knocking from door to door to door to door to door, and he would be remixing. That's what it is. People ain't got to get, hey, we can sit there and have a conversation and a dialogue about it anytime you're ready. It doesn't make a difference to me. But the point of the matter is that they were so successful. Like, we don't even know. Like, half the time you go to a temple, you might got 10 men up in there. A sister, like we playing spades. We got a sister in a possible. Like for the possible. But during the time of the prophet, they got 10 brothers and a sister in a possible. Like, how many books you got? I got 4 in the possible. 4 in the P. But with that being said, we don't know what 4,000 people look like today in one place with fences on. We don't know what that look like. Anybody seen that?
No.
So imagine what that look like. That's something major. You know what I'm saying? And you got to understand that many people did not have the pure lessons of Prophet Noble Drew Ali because it was just too many people. Many people was trying to learn on their own. Many people don't know what Islamism look like today, and they got everything before their face. You understand? So you can imagine those that was there, and it was 4,000 to compete for trying to understand this new science. Many of them didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? But so that's why they was easily swayed. You follow what I'm saying? So now back to temple number 1. Because he was so successful, Emeliel was a preacher, and Emeliel had that preacher charisma, man. He had that preacher charisma. You know, according to the reports, he was living in a boarding house, and not too far, I think it was on Indiana Avenue or Paris Avenue, one of them. But he was living in the border house. He had came from the South. You have to understand that many people have migrated from the South to come to Chicago or up north. You know what I mean? Even the Midwest or up north, they was moving. You know what I mean? New York, Chicago, they was heavy moving. And so when they came there, that was called the Black Belt District. Yeah. And it was a community all of us. You feel me? And everybody was competing. You had the Ethiopian group that was there. You had, and this we're talking about Chicago. We had the Ethiopian group that was there. You had a bunch of big Christian groups that was there. And then you had Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moors that was there, and amongst other groups. Anyway, Emeliel was charismatic. He could compete with them big old preachers. You know what I'm saying? And delivering the message. And in delivering the message, he began to attract many people to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Kind of like our sister Latay in Atlanta. Brother Akhenaten always tell the story how Sister Latay Bay, when she's in a crowd, she just go out. You know what I mean? She's inviting people, come to the temple. She's like, endearing herself to people to come to the temple. You know what I'm saying? And she's very outspoken with that. And she's very matter of fact with her trying to encourage people to come to the temple. And so that's how Emeliel was. And so Prophet Noble Drew Ali picked up on it and brought him into the temple. And I want to find the letter so I can break it down to you. But at the end of the day, Prophet Noble Drew Ali wanted to put Emeliel into the position of leadership. But you have to remember that time it was a lot of brothels. It was a lot of bootleg and liquor going on. There was a lot of things going on. And so Prophet Noble Drew Ali, just to be sure, because he's a wise prophet, and plus remember he has to lay the structure out so we know what it looks like. He told Emeliel, you got to get a wife. You have to get a wife. Before you can run this temple number 1, you got to get a wife. Emeliel came back with a wife, Sister Delia Emeliel, a strong soldier. And we can add that she was accepted by the prophet because she rode out all the way to the end, even knuckling up. I can't wait to get to that report. Even knuckling up in defense of the prophet over Drew Ali. Yeah, she was a serious sister. But with that being said, when he came back with the wife, he was appointed the governor of the temple. At that time, there wasn't grand sheiks in the temple. He was the governor. You follow me? Let me see if I can pull up the picture real quick. And when he became the governor of the temple, 1 second. Once he became the governor of the temple, it was all bets off because he was performing and bringing people into the temple and teaching Moorish science in a way that had not been seen since Lomax Bey left. You know what I'm saying? And went to Detroit. And so the strongest temples was Chicago and Detroit. And this is why after Master Farad Muhammad left left Detroit, the next place he went to is where?
Chicago.
Chicago. That's why temple number 1 for the Nation of Islam is in Detroit, and temple number 2 is where? Chicago, because they were recruiting Moors. They were recruiting Moors and usurping the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Bottom line, get mad now. It's okay. I still love you. But it's the fact of the matter. If you go to a place where there's 4,000 Moorish Americans, and now you create an organization and you start off with fairs and calling a place of worship for a Muslim or a Muslim a temple, all you did was flip the script, because there is no such thing as a temple before Prophet Noble Drew Ali in any Islamic organization. They go to what? Masjids or mosques, not a temple. You see? And so Allah's temples was created on the back of Prophet Noble Drew Ali's movement. That's it. That's all. But with that being said, Emil was a phenomenal teacher, and I'm going to get that letter in a second, but I want to go into this demonstration. So here is Brother Emil right here. Brother Emil, the Grand Governor, will preside over all Moorish activities in Chicago during the Prophet's itinerary to all the temples in America. Brother Emil is one of the foremost and most eloquent speakers of the movement in America, and is credited of having many converts. That's Brother Emil, smooth as butter. They tried to make our Brother Emil as a drunk. They slandered him so badly, you know what I'm saying, as if he was a drunk. And the sad thing about it is you have people that said they honor Brother Emil, and they will repeat these slanders. They will repeat these slanders. They say, well, the reason why they picked Kirkman Bey is because Emil was weak. Ain't nothing about this brother face look weak to me. Nothing. Look like he put them hands on you. Don't nothing look weak, but look weak about Emil to me. And sometimes we confuse brothers with compassion with being weak. Sometimes we confuse humbleness with being weak. But that ain't look like no weak man to me. Not to me. I know what weak look like. I used to bully the bully. I could look at the bully and tell the bully was weak. I'm telling you, I used to bully the bully. That man don't look weak to me. Look at Page Hill like, yeah, I used to bully the bully too. I know what weak look like too, Grand Sheik. Look at that smile. You can't fool me with that smile, Page Hill. I know you used to put hands on the bully. I know you did, didn't you? Tell me story.
No, you made me think, right? But no, I don't put hands on the bully. Come on.
Back in the day,
now, man. I'm calm.
You ain't had no L all your life. You ain't had no L all your life. Come on, tell me about when you were just Big Page. That sound like a tough guy. Big Page. Big Page, take care of that. Man, I ain't take care of nothing. As long as you don't put his hand on you.
no.
as soon as they cross the line, big
No,
pay.
people just digging in my that guy old as hell. He gone, man. He gone.
He go.
I was just thinking about yeah, he go. You know how you can't look at somebody and tell them they weak or not, but that's what was making me think when you said that.
Well,
But
look, let me talk to the people for a second. I'm gonna use the restroom, and then I'm gonna go on to this other thing, and I'm gonna pull that letter up to you for you in the end, and we're gonna go right through it. Talk to the people, somebody.
all right. Hey, Islam says here. Um, you know what? I had to work
Islam
today,
more.
all day. Hey, Islam, how you doing? But
Bless.
to go back to what the brother was saying, he was talking about the more scientific one day. He came out the shadows, and it's like I don't see it coming out the shadow. Well, not saying that he can't come out the shadow, but now if you tell a person about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, they might look at you like, "Who are you talking about?" Right? Unless you're talking to another more. But it's like
Yeah.
now it's getting you becoming somewhat relevant. But people ain't heard of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You hear it nowadays. People, what's that? What's that? You know, like I remember when I met my wife, and she told me she was
Yeah.
like, I talked to my auntie, and I told her about it, and told her you was a Muslim, and you was with the you was a Moor. And she was like, oh, he been to prison? I think he been to prison or something. And this it's just funny because that was what only like 12 years ago. So it's like it ain't came out the shadow. We're us at the Noble Temples. We're bringing it out the shadow because this knowledge has been kept back, and this man. Hey, I'm sorry to say, it's just like everything has just been kept back, and I don't understand why. Because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was out here promoting, and he's telling us to promote, propagate the faith, and live the life accordingly. You know, I understand that some of us gonna fall off and do this and that, but you would know about it. Like man, I was born in what 1982. I ain't hear about the Moorish Science Temple of America until I was 20. I never met a person with an Illibeya on their name. Right when I finally joined the temple, I was glad to see Randall L on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I said, oh, that's the Moor right there. I know who that is. You know, uh, you got some stories more. I know you. How long you been in the temple, more?
Islam. I came into what I thought was the Moorish Science Temple of America March 11th, 1984.
I heard that.
And in Baltimore City, man, let me tell you, man, Baltimore City, we got a little bit of everything.
Okay.
You know, we got prophets, we got 3 or 4 Supreme Grand Sheiks. I came through the Resurrection Moorish Science Temple of America, the Embryo Moorish Science Temple of America, the Supreme Grand Resurrection Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Law and History class. We had a little bit of everything. And what I found out that a lot of what the Grand Sheik is teaching, I used to think that nobody knew this stuff. But I found out last year that it's a lot of people that came around in the 80s and 90s had this information and was sitting back on it. And a lot of individuals received knowledge of the Prophet and the Moorish Science Temple of America. A lot of people through the penal institution. I'd just be fortunate enough to go through the penal institution to hear about Prophet Noble Drew. I had to go to prison to hear about him. It's just time now for this truth to come out because it's been a long time. A lot of lies have been told, a lot of fraud. Some say that people was using the movement to become multimillionaires. And if that's true or not, I don't know. But I know that finance and the illusions of power, you know, and egos came out. You know, the more I study now, I learn more. I'm gonna tell you something, man. I learned more in the last year than I've learned in the last 20 years. And it seems like the more that I study, the simpler the Prophet's divine instructions get for me. You know, because people say, well, you got to study this and make it applicable to your life. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, how? You know, and then I had to step outside of the temple to learn a lot of different things. But then it was like, well, Prophet Noble Drew Ali is a prophet out of North Carolina. And then I began to see that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was not talked about
Mhm.
a lot, because you had reincarnated prophet, you had John Givens-Hill, then you had some brothers here that created a book, and they became Prophet Noble Drew Ali reincarnated, Prophet Noble Drew Ali III. So they recognized in the first, second, and third Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So a lot of these fantasies and fugazi operations need to be gone. You know, and see, the thing that got me was like, if the leadership of different Moorish groups, if they were legitimately the Moorish Science Temple of America, they would shut everything else down. You know, because it was,
Yeah.
you know, if this Prophet Noble Drew Ali's Moorish Science Temple of America, no others should exist. That way, that's the way that I could tell that these people ain't what they say they are. It's not a peace, bro.
Indeed. Indeed. Okay.
Yes, because me listening to Taha Bay when this is just a couple months ago, like really, like just listening to him on Morris World TV, and he was going on, like I listened to him a couple times. He was going down through there, whatever subject he was talking about, he's showing improvement. And I'm like, man, I got to get in touch with this brother because he's really giving people the pure information. He's giving it to them. Like, hey, look, this is the truth. And it was just like what you said, more. It's like, where's all this information? He showing, boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, man, I got to get in touch with this brother. And I remember calling him and talking. Well, actually, I got him with him on Facebook. Hey, this brother, you know, he like, listen, brother, you got a question for me? Do you mind asking me on this? You mind asking me on this? I said, no. He said, come on. Anything you want to know, I'm going to teach you. And then that's when I started coming to the Noble. Like, we started the show. I wasn't a member of the Noble Temples yet. I didn't become a member until, I say a couple weeks later, maybe a month later. Because then I called him personally. Hey, look, brother, let me talk to you 100. Let me know what's going on. Because I done been around the foolery. You legit, you roll that way, and I love what y'all doing. I'm going to roll with you. And we've been on the pop. And it's been a blessing. I can't wait.
Indeed. So let me answer one question. We had a brother, good brother, Hogan. I think it's Hogan Bay. He asked what happened to Prior L. I want to just share with the brother that many of the Moors that was with the Prophet during the time of the Prophet, they literally they chose just to drop off. They wasn't going to follow. Once Emilio passed, they chose to drop off. They just say, forget it. I'm not with it no more. And so, you know, they probably went into their homes and had their own temples, but they refused to follow Kirkman Bay. You know what I mean? Now, majority of the people that was in the temples during the time of the Prophet, they chose to go with Kirkman Bay. But whatever the case may be, majority of the those who didn't, that many of them just seemed to disappear and got lost in history. You follow what I'm saying? Okay.
You might be. He can cut himself off.
Okay. Where's she at? I got it. Hey,
he didn't got it. He didn't got it.
My killer, y'all got hold me down 1 second. I got a good one coming for you in a minute. Give me like 2 minutes. My dog got out the gate, and I gotta bring her in. She cold probably. I let her out to use the bathroom, then I went live, and she out there cold. So I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes, brother, and we're gonna read that letter. So Asar, go ahead. What you got for us, brother? This is gonna be good in a minute. Yeah, brother Hogan Bay, man. Unfortunately, man, you got a lot of people that was faithful during the time of the Prophet, but man, they wasn't going with that fugazi stuff. They just wasn't. I mean, people gonna get mad because of the language that I'm using. I don't mean no disrespect. But what I'm telling you is that the Prophet was very specific and intentional of what the Moorish Science Temple of America looks like. He was very specific and intentional. And those that went outside of the scope of what it looks like, even those that was with Kirkman Bay was like, we went wrong.
Yeah,
We
that's right.
went wrong.
Yeah.
We need to fix this. But there was no intention on fixing it because the intent was in place during the life of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. People think that this happened after Prophet Noble Drew Ali. No, this happened during the life of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and it carried over in the transition of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You follow me? So let me yield the floor real quick, and let me go get my man.
Islam. It's like what he said. When members and officers saw the chaos and disarray, they went away. And it's the same thing that's happening today. You can go in, I know I have, I went to Philadelphia, I went to Detroit, I went to New Jersey, and I thought I was going to church. And because of that atmosphere, it kind of made me back out of it. Because, you know, I love the singing. They used to sing when the prophet was on, but these sound like you're going up into a Baptist church. And the truth and the divine truth that the prophet brought, man, I ain't heard nobody talk about the divine plan of the ages. I heard about it once. I didn't really get understanding of what it was, but I think in the year 2001 was the first time I ever heard of the divine plan of the ages. And then when the Grand Sheik started demonstrating about the divine plan of the ages and seeing what it is, and then I'm saying, well, wait a minute, he keeps saying, look at the footprint. So when it says the footprints are clearly cut, I began looking for some footprints. I want to see, like the Grand Sheik said, I want to see the roadmap. What is it that this man, this prophet, was telling these people in 3 short years to have over 7,000 members that I know of? You got 7,000 people. What was this man telling them? And why is it that we don't have that information today? You know, so a lot of people, I guess they were just seeing that they weren't going to get that kind of instructions, so they left off. And I understand because I left off. You know, I got a prophet here, I got a prophet over here, and a Supreme Grand Sheik over here, Supreme Grand Sheik over here. I say, wait a minute, let me step outside of this, you know, and just sit still for a minute. And when I first heard the Grand Sheik talking, I thought he was a fugazi too. Because
hold up, I can hear you. I'm here.
Because what he was demonstrating, I was like, well, wait a minute, man. He just one of these guys out there for fame and fortune. And I stopped listening to him for a minute. And then he started dropping these documents, and then he started to saying things, and I began waiting to see somebody disprove it. And I'm still waiting. Ain't nobody disproved it. So I'm like, well, let me sit down and listen to him now, because you got something going on right now. So when October of 2019, October, I think it was October of 2019, I had just relocated from Virginia back to Maryland, and I kind of foresaw something was going to take place, and it did. History was made, and you know, a lot of Moors might not see it right now, but the Moor Science of America style, there's Noble Temples, is making history right now. And with that, I'm gonna say Islam peace.
So Islam, brother. So you thought I was fugazi. All right. Now people do. And you know what? That's a good thing, because if they keep watching and if they continue to watch it, the same thing happened to them. Is the same thing happened to you will happen to them. Just keep watching.
Yeah.
And let me tell you this. So look. So Islam to everybody in the chat. Peace and love, everybody. So we're talking about Emilia right now, and then we're going to go into the close of the lesson talking about Lomax Bey. I'm going to give a history lesson on that. So one thing that I want to say is that I pride myself on, and I'm going to say it what I said it in the beginning, and I'm going to say it again. I pride myself on researching exactly what the prophet movement looked like, because if I don't know what it looked like, then I can't reproduce it in myself or in the community. That's just a fact of the matter. So anybody that complains about the things that I point out in history, that's because they don't want to follow the mandates of Prophet Noble Drew Ali for some reason. You know, if Prophet Noble Drew Ali say a mastermind can trace himself back and thus he know, we don't even want to trace ourselves back 100 years so we can know what the movement looked like, then you got a very serious problem. Because Prophet Noble Drew Ali talks about a mastermind tracing himself back to the creator so he can see the spirit of Allah within him that started from a seed. He's talking about a mastermind tracing them back when time never was. But now this same mastermind that read the same book that I read or pamphlet that I read, they don't even want to trace themselves back 100 years so they can be sure that they on the right path. But when I do it, I'm the bad guy. Well, I'm going to have to be the bad guy. I mean, not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good. But with that being said, my brother asked about Emeliel and when he came in the temple. And let me explain something, family. Everything that I read, everything that I look at, I don't look at it from the perspective of I'm just reading something. I look at it from the perspective of what we supposed to be doing. I want you to understand that. And I want everybody who's watching to understand that. I read stuff from the perspective that we must do it. So when I read this letter, the outline of it is what we must do. Anything outside the scope of what Prophet Noble Drew Ali did, whoever want to do it, they can keep it. I ain't with it. Not being a Moorish American Muslim. And I believe and have faith and confidence that Prophet Noble Drew Ali covered every aspect of life. Just because a person have an interpretation of religion and they put their interpretation into a box, don't put me in a box. Don't put me in a box. My religion covers everything. I can be goofy. I can laugh. You know what I'm saying? I can wear my snapback. I can wear.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can wear my J's. I can do all that. I can do all that. My religion don't have that old crazy stuff that other people got, because Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us that religion was instituted to teach man his infirmities. Religion was only instituted to teach us where we weak at so we can become stronger. All that other stuff that people talk about, I don't give that stuff no energy. But with that being said, brother, let's read this letter real quick. Now, we're talking about Emeliel coming on into the temple. Now, this letter was, and this is a copy of the it's a copy of the January 1st, talking about June 27th. I mean, January 1st, 1927, right? Hold up. I'll get my brother back in.
Mhm.
Now, in this letter, it says Emeliel joined the movement January 1st, 1927. You with me? And on June the 1st, 1927, I was approved of and appointed by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali as first assistant chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So let's do the math. June, January, February, March, April, May, June. 5 months, he's assistant to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. You see? 5 months. He's Prophet Noble Drew Ali assistant. Now, if we're not raising up brothers and sisters at that rate, then we might be missing the mark. This is why when I feel your energy through my experience, that you can come right on the show and don't even have to be a member. Don't make no difference to me. I can feel your energy. I know a Moorish American Muslim when I feel the energy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just what it is. You know what I mean? And Prophet Noble Drew Ali excelled in advancing people because he was able to teach people. And I'm learning. I'm not there not by far, but I'm learning of how to teach people and be able to decide if this person is really going to grow or if this person may have to catch it next lifetime. Some people got to get it next lifetime. You know what I mean? They be sincere, they be all pumped up when they come in, but some people, I've learned that some people just gonna have to get it next lifetime. Everybody ain't gonna get it this go around. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. They got too much hang up. They ain't ready to empty their cup. They got too much baggage. You know what I'm saying? So now we got 5 months. Y'all with me? We got 5 months. Now, let's check out. He says, and on June 1st, 1927, I was approved and appointed by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali as first assistant chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now notice, he was the first assistant chairman. How can somebody stand up and say, I honor the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but never give this man honor? He holding the first positions not only once, but twice. There was no assistant of the Moorish Science Temple of America, assistant chairman before Emil. He was the first. How can somebody stand up and say, I honor Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but don't honor this? And following the approved appointment, I had the support of the entire grand body with unanimous consension on behalf of the Prophet's choice and appointment. And in August, the first of the same year, I received appointment as from the Prophet as general chairman of the said Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, people don't know what that is.
Say that one more time. August 1st.
August.
First. Okay.
How many more months we got?
2. June, July, August. That's 7 months.
So now 7 months, he's the general chairman. Little do people know that that's the top position. But now watch this, though. And was made the Grand Sheikh under the Prophet. When he say Grand Sheikh, that's total head. Under the Prophet in February 1928. So that's 13 months. He running the whole Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, he said, I wrote insurance for the Prophet in the year 1928. And at the close of the year, in the first annual convention, I was promoted to the office in the rank of Supreme Grand Sheikh. And I keep telling people, Supreme Grand Sheikh is not the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Grand Sheikh and chairman is. He was appointed general chairman, and then he was appointed Grand Sheikh. Y'all follow me?
Mm-hmm.
He was appointed general chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then he was appointed Grand Sheikh. So now he holding 2 titles. Tell me the 2 titles he holding. Grand Sheikh and what? Then at the convention, he was given the title Supreme Grand Sheikh. I keep telling people Supreme Grand Sheikh is not the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America. By default, the Grand Sheikh and chairman may be the Supreme Grand Sheik, and rightfully so. But it doesn't take a Supreme Grand Sheik to establish, to run, and operate a Moorish Science Temple of America. It just doesn't. That's why when a brother called me yesterday, he said, "You a Supreme Grand Sheik?" I said, "Don't you put that on me." Oh, no. No, sir. Let them fight over that demonstration. I'm good. See, when we're talking about supreme, we're talking about something that's high. We talk about something that's lofty. We're talking about something that is elevated. Show me something that these people has elevated besides themselves and they fork and spoon, maybe. Show me. Like, we shouldn't play with this. You understand what I'm saying? We shouldn't play with this. I don't play with it. So at the end of the day, Emilio says, and I'll close with this, and then I'm going to go into my other demonstration. At the end of the day, Emilio says, so we got Emilio rising to leadership in 5 months, and within 12 plus 9 would be approximately 20, what's that be? 21 months. Am I right? Yeah, I think I'm right. Yeah. He's at the top of the organization, right? Now, real quick. So he says, the promotion of the prophet took place in the setting of the Supreme Grand Council. But no. Let me say this. This promotion by the prophet took place in first setting of the Supreme Grand Council. That would imply that there will be a second. Anyway, representing the Moorish Science Temple of America in a public meeting at 3140 Indiana Avenue in the month of November 1928. The prophet made it very plain in 3 statements that he was the Supreme Grand Head. Bro Emilio was the Supreme Grand Sheik next to me, the prophet. And that means all the temples within this government. Now, anybody that, and if you want to know why the Moorish Science Temple of America have not gained any leadway under the title of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because they not doing it like the prophet. You cannot get divine rewards if you don't do it divinely. That's just the fact of the matter. So we can spin our wheels all we want. We can give nice speeches all we want. Islam, praise Allah, and his honor to his prophet. You know, I'm doing the work. I'm feeding the people. You can do all that all you want. Prophet Noble Drew Ali created an organization to address police brutality. He created an organization to address political, being politically ostracized, disenfranchised. This organization is supposed to address all the social conditions. This organization is supposed to address everything that we are really faced with today. But many people have dirtied up the name so much that when people see a Fez, when people see a Moor, they think that we want to sell them a piece of paper so they can drive without a license. But we have to blame that on the Moors that said that they love Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because while Taj Tariq was running around with these lies, these Moors was like, man know not by being told. I didn't hear it for myself. We use these catchphrases to be cowards. You know what I'm saying? Just show the clean glass. Like, we use all these catchphrases to be weak. I mean, practice love. What about unity? What about unity? Here they go. They're dragging Prophet Noble Drew Ali's legacy through the mud. And they say, man, why are you up against that? That we should be about love. What about justice? What about that part? You know what I'm saying? What about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want my son walking around with a fez on and getting knocked upside his head just because somebody got a misunderstanding of what this represents. This supposed to represent the God-man degree. This supposed to represent a high science. You're supposed to be honored when you walk the street with this. You know what I'm saying? No one supposed to be looking at you like, oh man, here they come. Here they come. These them people on the internet. And so we got to blame a lot of these Moors that turned the temple into a church. And what I mean by a church, honor to my people that are in the church, but what I mean by a church is you go to the church, you sing with the choir, you get inspired, and it feels real good. And you have hope until about Wednesday. And then come back Sunday, you got to go back again to get refilled. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is the Moorish Science Temple of America is supposed to be practically exact every minute of your life. Every minute of your life, you should have your lessons in your head to be able to deal with the things that you are confronted with in this world, whether they be financial, whether they be social, whether they be political, whatever they may be, your lessons are supposed to address it directly. And we shouldn't be talking about, well, you know, Jesus, in fact, Moses said, let my people go. See, we got to go to the government. The prophet said, go to the government, to the people that know. And you got to go, like, we got to go there and do what? No, what we got to do is we got to get right and get it from the mud. That's what we got to do. So with that being said, so the brother had asked me, he dropped off. I think he had a weak connection. This is going to be a beautiful lesson for the next 15, 20 minutes. If y'all got time. Y'all got time. Listen. The brother asked about what happened to Lomax Bey. Family, let's talk about that for 1 minute. Lomax Bey. Family. If more Shabarakas are here, y'all will appreciate this. If you're not a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, you might not appreciate it as much. But if you're a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I'm sure you will appreciate this. My little itty bitty understanding. You know what I'm saying? So when we look at this picture right here, many people don't know how to read language. I think that's what the prophet said. When we look at this picture right here, right? Let me show you one thing that should stand out to you. Whenever you look at pictures, Moorish American, tell your Grand Sheikh today and your Supreme Grand Sheikh that you're learning from Brother Ta'aka Bey today. All right? They won't get mad. They're doing it in private, but they won't do it in public. It's okay. But you're learning from Brother Ta'aka Bey today. So when you look at this picture right here, and whenever you look at pictures, always pay attention to detail. You know, this brother right here, named Lomax Bey. Let me see, make sure it's coming up on the screen. His name is Lomax Bey. You follow me? This is the brother where his wife is sitting right here, where the European try to make that seem like that was Prophet Noble Drew Ali's wife. But that European ain't know what he was talking about. But this is Brother Lomax Bey. And Sister Mimi Lomax Bey is sitting down in between him and the prophet. With that being said, one thing that should stand out to you is that Lomax Bey has a sheik bag and the prophet has a sheik bag. There is not anybody else in this picture or in the Moorish Science Temple of America with a sheik bag. You follow me? You notice that? See that sheik bag? Just like the prophets. Y'all see that? That is very significant. You follow me? The reason why it's very significant, because all wise men and women understand things that are in signs and symbols. Why is it out of 3,000 Muslims in Chicago and over 30,000 in the whole organization, one man next to the prophet has a sheik bag like the prophet? What does your mind tell you when you see that? That he had to be close to the prophet. You follow me? Nobody else got that. But now, when you examine it a little closer, you will find that, of course, he was close to the prophet. Why? How do we know he was close to the prophet? The reason why we know that he was close to the prophet, let me go this way real quick. The reason why we know that he was close to the prophet, are you able to see it? Raise your hand if you can see it, Asa. Okay, good. All right. The reason why we know that he was close to the prophet is very simple. Because on the filing that Prophet Noble Drew Ali filed, day one of establishing the Moorish Science Temple of America, and November 29, 1926, you see James Lomax on there. This is before he had a Bey on his name. So he was with the prophet, if you will. He was one of the day ones. You follow me? So, of course, if Johnny Reynolds fall off, if Eddie Watts fall off, if Sammy Rucker fall off, he would automatically assume that he's the right-hand man of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Also, one thing that we got to pay attention to also is that Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he was in the streets talking to the people, and Lomax Bey, he was in the temple receiving the people at that time. Or they would both be in the streets talking to the people, but Lomax Bey was the grand governor. He was the governor, not grand governor. He was the governor of Temple Number 1 at that time. So while the prophet was in the streets sending people in the temple, this is where people get that old saying, leave the doors open and the prophet will run them in. But they so spooky, they think a ghost of the prophet is going to run them in. Fool, you supposed to represent the prophet and go out in the streets and do what the prophet did. Inspire people to go into the temple. They get all spooky and talk about the prophet say just leave the doors open. Leave the doors open. The prophet gonna run them in. As if some ghost is going to go talk to people. The ghost of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, like Casper the Friendly Ghost, and gonna run people into the temple. Like, no. You got to understand history. History records that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was on a milk crate on the south side of Chicago. And first it was Lomax Bey in the temple. He was leaving the doors open and the prophet was running them in. Running them in is symbolic to inspiring them to go to the temple. You follow me? But these grand sheiks and all of these people that with all these big old titles and these super big fairs, they said just leave the doors open. And they say, well, they kept the doors open. The prophet will run them in. Y'all ever hear that saying? They use that one a lot in Baltimore. I mean, but whatever the case may be, honor to my Moors in Baltimore that really do the work. But whatever the case may be, our brother Lomax Bey was in the temple and he was building up and the prophet was sending them in because the prophet was in the streets. You know what I mean? And so quite naturally, Lomax Bey would assume that he would be next in line of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That would be quite natural. But then here comes Emilio comes from down south, Mississippi, you know, and now a shift happens and Emilio goes in Lomax Bey position. Lomax Bey goes to Detroit. Lomax Bey duplicates everything that he had done in Chicago. Now, if you're not on your lesson, that might make you a little bit big-headed and may think it's you. But you forget that the system that you're using to attract people, you did not design. However, Lomax Bey must decide within all the disruption of trying to overthrow Prophet Noble Drew Ali. There was Claude Green, it was Kirkman Bey, it was Lomax Bey, it was Foreman Bey, it was Small Bey, it was Levitt Bey, and quite a few other people. It was a whole team to try to undermine Prophet Noble Drew Ali while he was in the flesh. This is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali makes the statement that there is one Moorish Science Temple of America and it is mine. Why would the Prophet Noble Drew Ali make that statement unless there was another group calling themselves the Moorish Science Temple of America? Yes. Anyway, with that being said, and I'm going to reveal that and hijacking of the nation part 2. You know what I'm saying? The myth of the Supreme Grand Sheik part 2. I'm going to reveal that in that lecture. Let me give a drop real quick, family. If you haven't seen hijacking of the nation, right now, if anybody ever heard of it, let me give a drop real quick. Hijacking of the nation was me talking about, the myth of the Supreme Grand Sheik was me talking about the fake leaderships and the people that assume leaderships off of this line and lineage from Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That doesn't exist. It's a lie, period, point blank. No, nothing was passed down to nobody. No. After Emilio, that was it. That's all. Everybody assumed a position and made up a lie and said that it was passed down to them. Don't get mad at me. Get mad at history. That's just what it is. Bottom line is this. So I have a presentation. You can go on our website. It's called MSTFA Noble Temples. And on the front page of the website, you can rent or get a pass. Let me see real quick. You can get a pass for the Myth of the Supreme Grand Sheik. It's $15. Yes, it is $15. It originally was $20. $25. It's $15, but I did it last year. Now, and in this, it breaks down all of the history as it relates to pretty much the lies of all these people calling themselves Supreme Grand Sheik. And all you got to do is hit this here, put one here, and you got to check out. Boom, it's going to be $18.69 because you have to pay the fee, the processing fee, whatever that is, the company that I use, but it is what it is. And you put your information here and you put your credit card number. It's safe. And then what'll happen is it'll open up on this screen right here. And your pass is your pass. Your pass will be available till December the 13th, 2020. You know, I might extend it longer, but there it is. But now, with that being said, so on the new one that I have coming in 2021, I'm gonna break down and I'm gonna reveal who had organized as a Moorish Science Temple of America during the time of the prophet while the prophet was in the flesh. I'm going to reveal that. Now, with that being said, and you know I bring proof. I don't just talk now. You know I'm going to bring some receipts. I'm going to bring total proof. Now, so with that being said, Lomax Bey was in on the demonstration, but it seems kind of murky as to who was to be in charge after Claude Green got killed. It seems like Lomax Bey, it was between Lomax Bey and Claude Green to be in charge. Once they accused the prophet of molestation and rape of Murray Foreman Bey, who ultimately they put in position and faked like she was the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's wife. But anyway, that didn't work because Claude Green ended up getting murdered, whatever. But back to Lomax Bey. Lomax Bey ultimately, I think he got mad because when Prophet Noble Drew Ali was touring the temples, out of the blue, Claude Green Bey, the business manager, who had recently stepped down from being the business manager, make a proclamations that he is the Grand Sheik. Now, when you say you're the Grand Sheik, it's not like today. People think Supreme Grand Sheik is the head honcho. When you see Emilio was appointed general chairman, then he was appointed Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So Claude Green steps up and says, I am the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Right? But right before that happened, Lomax Bey, in around January or December, Lomax Bey is in the temple and it's a packed house. Prophet Noble Drew Ali's there. Not only is Prophet Noble Drew Ali there, but his people is there. And when I say his people is there, we talk about no other than my main man, Allah El, Ira Johnson Bey, and his son, and 3 other people that they rock with. They in the temple, but it's so packed. Lomax Bey decides, when he take collection, he tells the people that no one will be sending anything to Chicago. We will not be sending money to Chicago no more. Prophet Noble Drew Ali is in the building. He don't know it. We can piece all this together because Prophet Noble Drew Ali gives his itinerary. He gives his itinerary of the temples he will be touring. You feel what I'm saying? And he's in Detroit at this time. He don't know Prophet Noble Drew Ali there. Wrong move. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he don't say nothing according to reports. But Allah El say something. Allah El chase him out the temple. Bat, bat, bat. Yeah, Allah El wasn't playing. Chased them out the temple and down the street. Allah El at that point, history records, I can't forget the brother right here. Let me pull him up real quick. I can't forget. See this brother right here beside the Prophet Noble Drew Ali? I forget his name off the top of my head, but he was crooked too. Crumbly Bey. There you go. He was crooked too. What happened right after that is Allah El jumps from Detroit and head towards the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Now he about to get Crumbly Bey because Crumbly Bey was in on it too. But back to Lomax Bey, that's another story. But back to Lomax Bey. Lomax Bey gets shook. You see what I'm saying? He goes into hiding. Here's this hiding theme again. He goes into hiding. The temple is still functioning though. But Lomax Bey goes into hiding. Prophet Noble Drew Ali finished his circuit. He ends up into Chicago. And at that time, Claude Green had made his announcement that he's the Grand Sheik. He put the Prophet Noble Drew Ali stuff outside from the temple, the Prophet's furniture. He put it on the front of 3140 where I just showed that picture. Claude Green. Now you got to remember, if 3140 is the headquarters of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and someone steps up and say, I am the head of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and you have total access to the headquarters of the Moorish Science Temple of America, obviously, out of 30,000 people, they might be convinced that you are the Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's because you are still in the original location where it's most famous for holding the Moorish Science Temple of America. You know what I mean? Nevertheless, Allah El runs down on Claude Green and do what he got to do for crossing the line. Back to Lomax Bey. Lomax Bey is running for his life. Crumbly Bey is running for his life. Because these brothers loved the Prophet so much that they was going to avenge the crossing of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They was going to avenge it, and was nothing going to stop them. And when you read the deposition from Allah El, you can understand his state of mind. His state of mind was, all of y'all then crossed the Prophet of God. All of y'all got to go. He even thought Emil was in on it and he went to go get Emeliel. Yeah. He ain't, listen, this is how you know that the prophet didn't give the order. Because Emeliel was faithful, but he went to kill Emeliel too. He thought they was all in on it. So he went after Emeliel. So happened, Emeliel, he dipped. This is a report. He dipped, circled around. And this is the first time in history that you would hear Johnson Bey. Before then, nobody knew who Johnson Bey was. And it appears that only Emeliel knew who Johnson Bey was. Because you never hear about him anywhere in history until it got thick. Okay, now, Lomax Bey, he dips. He goes on the run. He goes in hiding. He gets so scared that he take his group and runs to Turkey. He leaves the country. He gets low. But now listen, this shows you the psychology of those that was right next to the prophet, the level of their understanding. He goes to Turkey. Why? The same reason that people try to attribute this fez. They attribute it to Turkey. You ain't never heard nobody say that's a Turkish fez. The Turks wear that. The Turks wear that. That shows you the level of the understanding, even the one that had inspired thousands of people. Didn't have a full understanding, as the prophet said, what he was doing. So he takes off to Turkey. He thinks that in Turkey, he's going to find refuge. In fact, in Turkey, he goes and he's forced to dig doo-doo pits. This is in the 30s. He's there. He went from a wealthy man in the Moorish Science Temple of America from all the businesses that they had created to run into Turkey to dig in doo-doo pits, almost starved to death. Him and his about 20-some people that he took with him. His money ran out. He was begging Turkey to give him some land, to give him this. He went straight back to Negro, black, and colored. He could not, after that, he went to Egypt. Same thing. He could not fare. Now listen to the psychology. Remember the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that we have no desire to colonize Africa. In one of the articles in the Moorish Guide, he says we have no desire to go back to Africa and to colonize Africa. And understand that concept. The concept is, and they got a lot of videos on YouTube now, that many people that go back to Africa, they can't even handle the cultural shock. They can't even adjust. In fact, you are at home, right where you're at. But with that being said, he goes to Egypt from there. Before you know, he returns. But he returns in like 1941. That was 1930. He returns in like 1941. He changes his name. And he starts an Islamic organization. And this is one of the lectures I'm going to do in the future. That there would be no, and I say it again, there will be no Islamic organization as we know it in America without Prophet Noble Drew Ali. There will be no Nation of Islam without Prophet Noble Drew Ali. There will be no Sunni community without Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Why do I say that? Because the Muslim Sunrise, the people that came, I think from India, they didn't last. They came in 1920, 21. They had to get out of there because wasn't nobody buying it. the only successful Sunni or Orthodox organization in America. It started off with who other than your brother Lomax Bey, right here, with the Islamic Society of America. It started with him. That was the most successful Islamic organization as it relates to Orthodox Islam from the East. And he came from the Moorish Science Temple of America. So when you look at Lomax Bey right here, Detroit Temple number 4, 1023 Illinois Avenue, any address that you get from NOI, you can put them right in the same neighborhood. This is easy, light work. When you look at when he went to Turkey, the Detroit Negro, Muhammad Ali, he changed his name. Muhammad, that was another variation of Muhammad back then. A stranded Muslim Moses who came here to seek the promised land. Let me give it to you right. One second. There we go. Now let me share it for you. Are we in there tonight? I'm almost done. A stranded Muslim Moses who came here to seek a promised land for American Negroes. I told you he went back to Negro, black, and colored. Today, presented to the President Mustafa Kemal Pasha his petition for permission to found a colony in Turkey in the name of 28,000 Muslim Negroes suffering from racial prejudice in America. I petition you to hold up. I petition you to accord land on the shores of Bosporus, where we may create a flourishing American town and enjoys Turkey traditional and partiality to Negroes, he said. The Gaza referred the petition to the Angora authorities. Long story short, they shot him down and they had to work in doo-doo pits. Now, in this this article right here, this was in 1929, where Zach Lowe, which was one of the names that Lomax Bey was using as an alias. These brothers had some aliases, man. So in this here, there's a fight at the temple. And the reason why I pull this out is because I can trace this man even through his aliases. And when you look at this, it was a man arraigned in a large battle. This was when the shootout happened on 632 Livingston Avenue, right? And when you look at right here, where was his temple? 632 Livingston Avenue. But they was all caught up in some other stuff. And listen what it says. Recorders caught yesterday on charges of assault with intent to kill as the result of a riot in a gunfight in the Moorish American Masonic Lodge Hall. They was demonstrating Masonic degrees and all that, it appears. I mean, at 632 Livingston Avenue. When you look at the address right here from the Moorish Guide, what's the address of the temple? 632 Livingston Street. It's the same thing. Because there is no difference between Livingston Avenue and Livingston Street. It's just written wrong. But here he goes right here. But notice in this picture, this is a picture of their first convention in 1943. The Unity Islamic Society of America first convention, Philadelphia, August 18, 1943. Now, just like I told you before, did he wanted the prophet's position? Of course he wanted the prophet position. Notice how he's standing center as the prophet standing center. You see? Nothing has changed. The same thing here. And if you notice, he still got brothers with fezzes that came with him. You follow me? Now, a brother asked about the young people's the Young League, I think he said. Well, the Young People's Moorish League was an organization that was put together by Juanita Richardson Bey. Let me show you who Juanita Richardson Bey is. And this is the last thing I'm going to do. Take me about 2 minutes. Let me show you who Juanita Richardson Bey is so we can be clear. Hold up 1 second. Let me show you, because we want to be clear on this. I mean, the sisters, I always say the sisters help the movement build while the brothers try to tear it down. And it's the same thing today. You know what I mean? But now sisters, they want to tear it down with the brothers too nowadays. I mean, they want to act fool too. You know what I mean? But they want to, I mean, they be in their little corners. They want to tear it down too. But with that being said, so in this picture right here, and I wrap with this, in this picture right here, many people has always tried to make this be Sister Pearl Drew Ali or somebody, or some people just say the prophet's secretary. This is Sister Juanita Richardson Bey. She was an educator, you know what I mean, and a poet, you know what I'm saying? Very intelligent sister. You follow what I'm saying? And so she created the Young People's Moorish League. And in this, what you see right here, she was given a literary contest for writing, for poetry, and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? But to be a part of the Young People's Moorish League, what you had to do is, now listen, you had to put in an application. I hereby make an application for membership in the Young People's Moorish League, which I understand is to promote the educational, economic, and social improvement of young men and women of the Moorish Science Temples of America. And I hereby pledge myself to comply with the rules and regulations. You write in your name, your address, your state. What school do you attend? What trade or profession would you like to learn? These Moors was not playing. Then it says, there is no joining fee, but dues are 25 cents per month, payable before or by the 5th day of each month. First month dues must accompany application blank. These were business-minded auxiliaries of the Moorish Science Temple of America for the advancement of our youth. You understand what I'm saying? This what this was. This was the Young Moorish People's League was our YMCA. It was our Boys and Girls Club. So can't nobody sit up here and tell me that Prophet Noble Drew Ali's organization is outdated when nobody has duplicated some of the things that the prophet demonstrated. Nobody duplicated that. Anybody? You know where I want at? And somebody speak up. Y'all know where I want at? So if we don't see it, we must create it from the blueprint. And I just gave a piece of it. But there's more to it than that, because the prophet was distributing charters to these auxiliaries. You know how people try to make charter seem like it's some gold? Like it's a sacred relic. The prophet told the Young People's Moorish League, when you get 25 people in your temple to sign up for the Young People's Moorish League, I will give you a charter. What does that mean? That means that now they can move legally and lawfully to establish businesses in order to further their endeavor and be in line with the legal order of how businesses are established. Franchising. if you will. You understand what I'm saying? See, the deeper teachings of Moorish Science Temple of America will be here. This is the stuff ain't nobody want to break down. This right there takes work. You understand what I'm saying? That takes work. That takes a little more than walking to the podium saying, I give praise and honor to the prophet. That takes a little bit more than that. I mean, it do. To inspire children or young men and women to work together, to move together, to build business together, to inspire them to try to excel in literature, in poetry, in the arts. That takes a little bit more work than showing up on Friday saying, I praise Allah. So with that being said, family, we got work to do. And when I say we got work to do, I'm saying that we got work to do that exampled by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. That work's supposed to be done today. We ain't supposed to be looking back yesterday and talking about, man, you know, the Moors did this and the Moors did that. No. Most, man, unfortunately, man, I'm on a mission. I'm going to tell you off the top. In closing, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to see our temples to be replicated after the Prophet's temples. That's it. That's it. And I ain't asking permission. Nope. I ain't asking permission. And I'm not going to walk away empty-handed. We're going to walk away with the crown. So let me just open the floor real quick before I close out to my brother Page L. Page L. Anything you want to add, brother? Or any questions?
Islam, nope, I ain't got no more questions.
Did I go too
Not
far?
right now. No, you actually kept it short this session. This shocking. You know?
No, but tell me what you think. Am I slipping? Am I getting rusty? Am I getting rusty on my lessons?
No, you staying sharp. You just had me like I was just thinking like it was and it's funny because you got it titled "You Can't Run from the Truth," right? And it was just thinking about Emilia. You said he was a preacher, right?
Right.
So when he ran to the prophet, he was a preacher, and then the prophet was like, "Hey, look at this." We'll chopped it up with him and broke him down and showed him the way. And that took a lot of courage from that brother because he had to look at it like, man, everything that I've been taught is a lie. Like basically, how you came and you joined. It's the same thing, a process. That had to shake his foundation. Like, whoa, like, man, because he preached and he into it. He's like, what?
But let me say this, Page L. The thing is, that will give us the indication. What's that noise?
That gotta be you. You gonna blame me, but it's you.
Ain't me.
See?
I ain't doing nothing. But no, it would give me the indication that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was so tolerant, if you will, of people's understanding, and he was patient so people can grow. That's a lesson we can learn. We're talking about a preacher now. That's a lesson we can learn.
And then the year, within 5 months, yeah.
And another indication is, and I'm gonna mute you because I don't know what that crackle is, but I'll open it back up. And another indication is that the lessons of Prophet Noble Drew Ali had to be relatable to his understanding. So why are we? And I know I probably get some of my Christian brothers and sisters mad at me sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They never. I don't feel it, but I might do. But I do know that our teachings are easily digested by Christian and Muslim alike. Easily, when taught properly. when taught properly. You know what I'm saying? When taught properly, I don't care what faith that you believe in, it's easily digested. Many times it's not taught properly. It'd be all out in space. We be looking like space cadets, talking more sides. But yeah, brother, after you, I yield the floor to Brother Assad, brother, so we can close out. Anything else?
Your mic. His mic.
Oh. Hello?
Islam.
Man,
Islam.
man, somebody might be dictating my words, man. It,
Yeah,
electronically,
it sounds like somebody typing. Basically, I have a clear understanding when it says imitate I the prophet. Got some goddamn peoples up in here.
What's going on?
When it says imitate I the prophet,
Right.
I was told, many different things about that, but it was like, well, how can you imitate the prophet? All you have to do is follow his footprints, and I think that's causing, I know for a fact that's causing a large stir in the Moorish communities around this country, what's taking place with the nobles of nobles. And we just gonna keep on going. And I can't speak for nobody else, but I'm stuck. I'm not going nowhere after all these many years, all these lies and truth that I've been walking around here thinking I knew a thing and find out I ain't know nothing. And I'm just re-educating myself, and I'm not angry at that. He's a good teacher, and I'm gonna sit and listen to him because I stopped waiting. I stopped waiting to see if somebody could prove him wrong. So I'm just going back and learn about my nationality, divine creed, and imitate the prophet and get a thorough understanding of the divine plan of the ages. And if you're a Moorish American Muslim, if you on this site now, I would suggest that you find out what the divine plan of the ages, because it might not seem like everything that's taking place now is going according to divine plans. You might not see it that way, but everything's happening according to divine plans. There are little hiccups that take place, this pandemic and a lot of little different things taking place, but that's not going to stop us. You can't defeat Allah within us. That ain't going to stop us. So that's pretty much all I got to say. You covered it pretty much. I hope you do this every Wednesday because I'm going to be here.
We're going to do it every Wednesday. And we're going to do it as a temple project. So I invite all temple members to come on in, man. We got to wake people up to this divine movement. This is a beautiful movement. It's a beautiful thing. And to my brother, Sonny Boxing Talk, he says, at Channel 7, great demonstration. I have a question. With all the proof that you demonstrate, why is there so much pushback? I really don't understand. Brother, you have to understand ego and selfish gain. Many people don't believe in the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Many people believe in what they want to believe. See, I've lost a lot of friends that I thought was friends by believing in the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and having faith in Prophet Noble Drew Ali's program. In other words, if I study and I find out that Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and I love to give this example, that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was not born Timothy Drew. And I know without a doubt or contradiction, he was not born Timothy Drew. Somebody that's my age may not be able to let go because that's all they know is Timothy Drew. I'm able to let go of calling someone by a name that's not theirs. I'm able to let that go. I had to let go Negro. I had to let go colored. I had to let go black. Man, black felt good too, I think. Let me think. It's been a while, but maybe, I don't know. But I had to let go. And so in order for one to grow, they have to let go. Many people ain't ready to let go. I listened to Braswell Bay on a recent broadcast, and he said they come up with this stuff that his name is Thomas Drew and not Timothy Drew. He said, well, the prophet just told us that his name is Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Like filibustering. Like it doesn't matter. Like it does matter. It really does matter. Because somebody wants you to know his name is Timothy Drew, so you can't discover Thomas Drew, and now you got 12 missing years of Drew Ali, like the 18 missing years of Jesus. Names, prophets say, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, people place their trust on names. Why wouldn't we want to know his name if the prophet told us that people place their trust on names and issues, on names? People place their trust on that. When you call yourself black, they trust that you're going to act accordingly. You're not going to respond as a liberated person calling yourself black, no matter how great or how much money you may have made, no matter how many positions you have in college you may have graduated. That don't make a difference. But you have an expected response because they place their trust on names. And so the point that I'm making is I discover and I can cross-reference and say, yeah, but now let me find out why did they perpetuate this Timothy Drew thing? And where did it first surface at? And then I go and teach it to people. But some people are not able to let go. Some people are not able to let go their illusion of power. They believe that if they are a grand sheik or a supreme grand sheik, that now they gotta relinquish that and have to join somebody else. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali taught us that the door of religious freedom swings open to all, and any can walk through as they see fit. You can be whatever you want. You can be the Supreme Grand Ali Baba. You can be the Supreme Grand Sheik. You can be the Grand Sheik. You can be the great minister of the Divine Moorish Science Temple of Northwest Africa. Who cares? You can be all of that. But one thing you will not be is successful according to the Prophet's program. So it's all ego. It's all ego. You know, let me say this. I know people that I have admired and ultimately I lost a lot of respect for because they know the truth and they walking around still in the lie. I can't walk around in no lie. I can't. It would bother me. It would bother me if I went to the temple under some administration and I know without a doubt or contradiction, there was no Supreme Grand Sheik passed down from the Prophet, but that's what I got to teach. I'm going to stand up and teach something that's a lie. That would bother me. I couldn't be a part of no administration knowing that Prophet Noble Drew Ali handpicked Emilio, but I can't honor him as the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America. That would bother me. I got to skip over him, act like he didn't exist, and say I honor the Prophet. And then I give honor to the first moderator. What? And call myself a Moorish American? Now, I know that might be harsh coming out my mouth in public like this, but it's the fact of the matter. I won't feel right in my spirit to act like Emilio wasn't appointed by the Prophet, to act like the first leader after the Prophet was Kirkman Bey. That wouldn't feel right in my spirit. It's like I'm committing treason. That's what it would feel like to me. And for anybody saying it doesn't matter, they have turned in their turban and ceased wearing their fez. They returned to the state where the Prophet found you. And I don't care how much I love you. The truth is the truth. That's just like you telling me to forget my mother. Forget my father. How you gonna tell me to forget that? And then say I got a love for God. And then you won't want me to mention it. And nobody want to do anything to change it. And so to my brother Sonny Boxing, that's a very a sensitive topic for me, because after I study Emil, I see in him what the prophet seen in him. To a degree, to what information I have, and that was a great man. Man, they called that man a drunk. They called that man lied on him, called him a manipulator, called him the great deceiver. They published this stuff in the newspaper. And in 2020, I supposed to act like that did not happen? No. Because that's the same thing the European want us to do about our forefathers. They want us to act like our forefathers didn't civilize the planet. They want to act like our forefathers was not the last stronghold of the world under the terminology of Moore. They want to act like that this Fez belongs to a Mason, a European Mason as that. They want to act like that this Fez belongs to a pale Arab Turk. And I supposed to sit back and say nothing? I supposed to repeat that? Nah, I'm going to say something. And if you don't like it, that's your problem. I'm going to say something. But if you my brother, you know what I mean? If you my brother and you love me, you're going to love me because of the truth. Not because the truth. You ain't going to hate me because the truth hurts. You're going to love me because of the truth. And if you don't, then by all means, keep it moving. Because in this day and time, our young generation need to understand, why is it important to have a nationality? Why is it is important to be honest and move with integrity? And how can the Moorish Science Temple of America be beneficial to them today? You see what I'm saying? Yeah, all that stuff happened yesterday. But how can it be beneficial today? You know, imagine if I taught my son all these lies, and then he grew up and did some research and told him, but man, daddy was lying to me. He gonna tell me he don't believe in Santa Claus, but he teaching me the same demonstration about Santa Claus. Man, just like you say, Paige L. Said, brother, I need some history on Emil. And the reason why, because it's been kept from the public. It's been kept from the public, you know? And so I employ everybody. If you are ready to build, join the Moorish Science Temple of America styled as the Noble Temples. That's right. But I'm going to tell you, this is something that needs to be built. It's not built. The prophet laid out the blueprint. We need to build it. We need brain, intelligence, and we need muscle. We got to build this. If you think the Moorish Science Temple of America is here, you're sadly mistaken. There is no Moorish Science Temple of America like the Prophet Noble Drew Ali left. But there can be one if we decide to say the heck with it, let's build it. If the Prophet did it in 3 years, what was that? What's that thing I showed? 26, 27, 28, 29, or 25, 26, 27, 28. 3 years. Why can't we do it in 5? Why can't we do it in 5? Because many people teaching that spooky stuff, and ain't nobody attracted to that spooky stuff no more. They might as well go ahead and Alhamdulillah, Rahman. You know what I mean? Half of them, I'm gonna talk some stuff before I go. Half of them want to be in the desert. Half of them want Rahman, Atullah, and the prophet can't speak in plain English. The prophet needed an interpreter. You know what I'm saying? He perfected the English language. But we believe that God need to make concessions to get you into heaven. You got to learn a new language. You got to learn Hebrew. You got to learn Arabic. You got to learn how to pray. You got to learn all of this stuff to get in heaven. I'm trying to tell you. You got to grow your beard. You got to paint it red. You got to wear the long clothes. Man, I'm trying to tell you, you got to do a lot of stuff to get into paradise. Yeah. Man, you got to learn. I'm telling you, you got to learn all these prayers. For real. You got to learn a whole bunch of them. You know what I mean? And 5 times a day, you got to go into this ritual every day to get to heaven. Yeah. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he said the nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart. And I don't care if you are a Muslim proclaim, if you're a Christian proclaim, you and I know that you can commune with God in your depthness of your soul whenever you get ready. You ain't got to do you got to go wash up. Yeah, keep your body clean with water and your heart pure with love. But let me tell you something. If you in trouble, don't think you got to go wash up to pray to the Creator. You better jump right on the hotline. Help me, Lord. Let me get out of here. Family, last but not least, Sonny Boxing. Our only hope is to wake up the next generation, because unfortunately, most of our generation are dead and stinking. Seriously. Majority of our generation are dead and stinking with the fez on, with the turbans on, with the funny clothes and the curly shoes. I ain't wearing them shoes. I don't care. I wear the clothes. I wear some desert garbs. But I ain't wearing the funny curl up Joker shoes. I ain't doing that. Nah, I ain't doing it. You ever see the brothers wear them demonstrations, man? They be thinking they slick as a can of oil too. I be like, nah, man, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that, man. You ever see them Jones though? They want to be Moorish so bad. Look, they be want to be Moorish so bad, man. Like, just be Moorish, man. You ain't got to abstract paint yourself dress Moorish. Just be Moorish. I'm trying to tell you, man, them little Joker shoes, man, I be like, I know y'all, my friends watching this today say, man, he talking about me. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm not wearing the shoes. I'm like Dave Chappelle. I ain't wearing a dress. Nope, I ain't wearing a dress. Nope. Get out my trailer. It's love, family. Peace and love.